Recorded live on the North Coast, Scotty does a show with guest Kyle Roberts. Plus news, today's top 5, and more. And now he knows what you're up to, Scott Marion.
All right, what's up, everybody? What's happening? What it is? What's going down? What's the word on the street? Welcome to the show, here where we keep our ears to the ground and our fingers on the pulse of what's happening in today's society. I am your host. You can call me Coach. You can call me Scott. You can call me Coach Scott. No reason to call me Sir, unless, of course, you owe me money. Mr. Marion, if you're nasty. Real quick, I want to give a very special shout out to Sierra Snodgrass for coming on the show. Again, when you get involved in different walks of life, to have somebody inspire you more than once is pretty amazing. And her as a trainer and as a coach, and also as a competitor, as an athlete, she's awesome. And again, for those of you in Columbus, if you get a chance to go out and see her compete on September 11th, we're trying to work something out that maybe we can have a crew come down and record that for her. That'd be awesome. She's just a great person, a great trainer, great athlete, and seeing her succeed, seeing her work hard, anything I can do to help promote her, awesome. We're even talking about possibly, we even talked about on the show, about maybe having a co-host. She would be amazing for that. If not full-time, then at least from time to time, having her come back as often as possible. She's great, and I know that you guys, the feedback is awesome. You guys all love her too. She's a lot of fun, and again, if you're really looking for somebody that's going to get you to your goals, you can't get any better than Sierra. So thanks again for coming on the show. Again, a couple other things that some news that we're working on. As I mentioned on the last show, we're going to be I'm going to be posting some links here pretty soon as far as the casting call for the Thirst, looking for people to come out and be photographed, so I can actually use those photos to use for the rendering for this book. This is definitely a project of passion. We actually, Sierra and I had a discussion a little bit off air talking about it. One thing, this is not to sound like old man Scott here, but a lot of times I've come across some younger artists, or even some younger athletes, and I ask them to get involved with certain projects and things, and the answer is, what do I get paid? And although I want to be able to have staff and pay, which I talked about in the last show, and it's something that obviously I'm working for, is to be able to get some sponsors, and to be able to get most importantly, promote projects and things. So anytime I have resources coming in from that, I always want to put it back into the show. There's a challenge in instilling in somebody the delayed gratification, meaning this podcast that I'm doing right now, I'm honored to say I have a lifelong friend I haven't talked to really in a long time. It's on here. It seems to be a running theme with the show. But I get to learn and to, most importantly, tell a great story, put on a good show, have some content that's going to be fun and interesting, and give you guys a chance to learn something about some of not only myself, but some of my guests and their lives and their experiences. But to instill in somebody that if we do a great show today, and entertain somebody today, and educate somebody today, that could potentially pay off with a sponsor, or with maybe a gig with Sirius XM or something along those lines. That might happen 2 years from now. I don't know. The point is, when you make an impact and you really do good work, somebody might find this show 2 years from now, and all of a sudden, I hate, this is a overused term, but if something goes viral, then there's you'll see on some people's YouTube pages where they'll average maybe 1,000 views, and all of a sudden they'll have a video that has 1.9 million views. So the goal is to not have a massive impact like that. The goal is to be consistent. When you look at somebody like Joe Rogan that has 9 million subscribers, at any given time when he's doing a show, there'd be 1.2 million people listening live. That's a staggering number, and I'm nowhere near that yet. But the point is, by putting on a good show, building that audience, that's where the opportunity can come along for sponsors and be able to grow right there. So again, a bit of a challenge is to instill that delayed gratification, and that's one of the reasons why I love combat sports. Is what you do today is going to pay off. Maybe it might not pay off for 2-3 fights on down the line. So, the idea that the Thirst Project is getting to this point now, and it's something that I've been on the fringe and or working on for 5 years. It's awesome and exciting too. So again, one last time, thank you to Sierra for coming on the show, and just awesome to be inspired and to get that kind of work that we're going to be doing now is fun, exciting, and terrifying, which lets me know that it's real. So, and again, going with our running theme of having people come on the show, I really have an amazing opportunity here where I can have a reunion of sorts, a sit down with people that have massively impacted my life. And even if I haven't seen them for the better half of my life, that impact doesn't go away. Having Joe Howard come in here, having Dan Sumter come in here, the idea that John Robb, which actually out of those three, I've seen John more than anybody else out of those three. It's fun, and the feedback that I've gotten from people in my life recently is they've heard some stories, heard some things that they didn't know about me, which is great. But again, having this opportunity, this forum, if you will, where I can have people come on and reunite live is it's a very fun and exciting experience for me. And when I have Kyle and I, we go back about as far as you can go. And I was telling the story when I first got into DJing. It wasn't really my idea to do that. Safe to say, I was one of the more creative people in our school, one of the more creative people in our class. People would turn to me for, it was a small school. We had less than 500 kids in the entire school, in our high school. So it was a relatively small, not relative, it was a small arena. But people would turn to me for, hey, I would like to have this drawn or this, that, and Kyle was one of those guys, and I believe, I want to say it was Kyle, or maybe it was Joe that was on the show, or we have another friend, Jamie, who's not ironic at all, he wants to be on the show now, it reached out to me and said, hey, let's get into DJing. And we were right around junior high that we started doing that stuff. Now, of course, I can look back, I've had some really amazing experiences in the DJ world. I never would have thought that it came to that, but it did. If you're going to be in the as a musician, as a DJ, as a singer, as a performer, you have your talent, you have your artists, you also have your producers, you also have your engineers. Kyle was my first experience to an actual engineer. And by the way, that doesn't necessarily mean, we were 14 years old, so it's not like he had a degree at the time, but there are every, group has, especially when you're talking about a group of teenage boys, we were a very tight-knit group. We were a clique, if you will, but everybody kind of had their role. And a creative outlet that we had was being into DJing. And the reason I believe it was Kyle and or Joe that we were having conversations of, we would go to these junior high dances and things, and we would see these DJs that weren't really playing good music and weren't really necessarily handsome dudes had girls hanging out all over the table. So that, just like, we could do this, and I think we can do this better.
Yeah.
And I was kind of recruited to a degree, and the next thing you know, I'm designing this, and we come up with the name NOIZ BOYZ, which again, Joe Howard, shout out to you for coming up with the idea for the Z on that. But when you have, I was the kind of the creative circle, or the center of that, if you will. But everybody had their role. Fantine, there was things that he would do, and everybody would, Geyer was the guy who would do a lot of the transport of certain things. But Kyle is the guy that made it happen. And I've had experiences with engineers since then. But I've told the story, privately to friends in recent years. I remember we were getting ready for some type of dance or some, I don't know, parents for drug-free activities or something. And we had a spotlight or something that wasn't working. And this guy made a light out of a car battery, a brick, and a bulb. And you know what? It served the purpose. And I'll be damned, we pulled the show off. So there was, we were all a bunch of wild. Definitely wild.
Definitely wild.
We were unhinged kids for sure.
Yes.
But we came together, and say what you want, we put on great shows and good dances, which is the reason why they asked us back. So when it's been, again, we pull us aside when we were 15. If somebody said, "Hey, you're going to play at this festival, or you're going to work with this deal," but I thought it was silly. I would have said the same thing if somebody had told me when I was 15 I was going to live in the Caribbean. But it turns out. My first experience to engineering was Kyle, and Kyle was the first guy again to really teach me. I don't give a shit. This party's going to go down, and I've worked with other DJ groups and things in post high school and stuff that they actually had a motto, so show them what's going on. And I already knew and experienced what that was all about, but. Every group has their role, and for lack of a better term, our Tony Stark at the time was Kyle. And so, without further ado, the Tony Stark of the NOIZ BOYZ, Kyle Roberts. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Scott. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's
this is fun. You had mentioned, it's fun, and that's exactly why I'm here. It's fun.
Well, dude, I always try to emulate some of the podcasts that are out there. And I said when you showed up, I like to do it like Rogan does. Very little talk. Let's get in.
Yeah.
Let's reunite on the air. It's fun, and and it's a genuine reaction. And when we walked in here, again, coming from the first engineer that I ever worked with on a creative outlet, Kyle walks in and he sees the setup, and he sees, obviously he's asking me, how do I do this? And every guest you have to explain, headphones are here because we're hearing what the master sound is going to be and how you want to talk into the mic and stuff. But for you to give me that feedback as soon as you walked in, like, you know what, man, this is cool. You'd be surprised how much of a validation that is for me and how that makes me feel. So thank you.
You've got some serious engineering going on here, and it's really cool. I expected to see an on-air light above the door, which, hey, we might be able to put that in tonight.
You know what? I don't have anywhere to be, and you're on vacation.
I'm on vacation.
So
we might get some plexiglass and some paint, and we can do it.
Do not tempt me. It's a... If one thing, and I've talked about it here on the show, and I briefly showed you before we came in here, and I talked about it actually when Sierra was here, I can create with a figurative gun to my head, and hey, I need this done, and meaning we could sit in the bathroom, and I have a portable podcast kit over there that I bought literally for that reason. So if I'm going to Columbus, like maybe for Sierra's show or something, obviously I can't bring all of this. But if I bring a small, it's grown into what it is now. I mean, we could sit down and do a show with that, but I want it to be as professional as I can be. So yeah. But it is absolutely.
He'll have one up by the end of the week, folks.
Oh yeah, I hope so. The goal is, I mean, I'm doing this in my home, which is it's fun. But when you look at everything is it's a process. This, I said it last show, is this exactly how I pictured it when I started it? No. But it turns into, I want it to look a certain way, but most importantly, how's it going to function?
Yes.
And again, you were the first guy that really taught me that. Again, a brick, some wire, a car battery, and a light bulb. And you know what? We had a spotlight.
Yep. We got it to work.
The spotlight was right on the banner, and I'll be damned, it didn't work all night. So there you go. It's... You know, I mean, people will come in here and they'll like the setup and stuff. And when I tell them, you know, what the cost of everything is, you'd be surprised that it's not as expensive as you think.
Well, to be resourceful is also a huge part of it, I'm sure. You know,
well, yeah,
doing your research, getting something that's gonna work for you, that's not gonna break the bank. You know,
right? Well, you're right.
That's called success.
I think so.
From an engineering standpoint.
I would say, yeah. If it's affordable, and most importantly, you're getting the function out of it. Yeah, then yeah, absolutely. Yes. I mean, make no mistake. What I put into this, I could have easily put 10 times as much, but would it be dramatically different for the people out there to experience it? Maybe not. Maybe not. At this point, again, the beautiful thing about podcasting, the beautiful thing about essentially talk radio, which is what we're doing, if people can understand us, you know,
absolutely,
it doesn't need to be, you know, a 10 out of 10 on the pristine audio scale.
No.
Because you and a few other people have even reached out to me and said, yeah, man, I listened to your podcast in the car. I listened to the podcast at work or something. So as long as people are enjoying the content,
absolutely.
That's the beautiful thing is, although make no mistake, we're planning on having some different sets and things. I want to take the show on the road a little bit. And the beautiful thing about having a setup like this is shocking. I'm going to start getting into some animation and things.
Nice.
And now we have opportunity to do some voiceover work for animation and stuff.
Got it.
But the point of what I'm getting at is, thank you, but what I'm proud of is having not only a place that's functional, but most importantly, it's therapeutic. Because again, I can create with a figurative gun to my head. More or less, that's what you do when you're going to art school, and
yes.
Which never seemed right to me. The idea that you're being timed and graded on art. But anyway, if having a therapeutic outlet, you know, the idea that I love the idea that I sleep 20 feet away from where I do a show. I love that.
That's perfect.
It's great.
That is perfect.
But make no mistake, the plan is to have the show hopefully grow and get into you know, a set. And I've already been flirting with some ideas of doing some live podcasts and stuff. So that'll be fun. I mean, we've done the Fight Companions and things like that too. But I'm going to do more of that. So
well, you're sounding good. I drive a diesel truck on the way to work every morning. And
I heard you coming in.
I leave my house and I'm awake by the time I get to Route 303. Trust me. I put my earbuds in because my stereo doesn't work too, and put my earbuds in and listen to the show on the way. You're sounding good.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I can hear it all through that crap that truck puts me through.
Well, and that means a lot because up until 2005, the absolute largest crowd that I ever performed in front of was when we did that 4th of July gig that we put together.
Clegg Park.
There was 15,000 people.
I have no. There was a
that's the number
load of people there.
Yeah, it's the number that jumps out in my head.
Yeah.
Until then, I mean, we literally, the stereo that we had for that, it was as red blind, which is not what you're supposed to do, ladies and gentlemen. You don't red. You want to avoid that when you're looking at your monitor. But we pushed that thing to the limit. But it was all 4th of July patriotic stuff. But that was fun.
Yes.
Until 2005, that was the largest crowd. And then 2005, I got to work at the Ultra Show, and there was
awesome.
50,000 people there.
Oh, man.
I mean, to be fair, I was not a headliner. I was not, on a major stage or anything. But I got to perform there in the Florida All-Stars thing, and it was, I mean, just to be a part of that was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but you know that. What we experienced, I mean, we were the entertainment.
Yes.
That show I just told you about, I was one of 300 DJs.
Wow.
It's a 3-day festival, 7 stages. I mean, it's just, but I mean, awesome. I didn't even get paid, of course. It was hell, I just want to perform.
Hey,
yeah. And just to say it's on the resume. The idea you have some of that stuff hanging out.
You did get paid because you got to tell me about it.
What's a good point?
And that's awesome.
That's a good point. The DJ world, and just like any business, the DJ world, there's just a lot of shitheads.
Really?
There just is. And for the exact same reason that we got into it, chasing girls, some people never get out of that.
That's just true, folks.
Ever. Some people never get out of that. And by the way, chasing girls, and I don't know if you guys know this, an easy way to get girls is have a lot of money. Spoiler alert. Spoiler. If there's any dudes out there, you're having a hard time getting ladies, get yourself a lot of money. Something tells me things are going to shift for you. Now, that being said, how do you get your money? If you screw over people, not pay DJs, not pay promoters, and that's what I mean by shady. Yeah. But if there's a bunch of tickets being sold and there's one funnel to one person and you're supposed to divvy it up, you want the money because you want the girls. Yeah. So it's a simple math. That's the way it works. So a lot of times, if you're the low man on the totem pole, in that, and I got to see firsthand, especially living in LA and stuff, seeing the celebrity DJ world and just how much bullshit that is.
Well, they'll be celebrities just because they told somebody they're a celebrity.
Well, the idea that I know I can sit here and talk all day long about some incredibly skilled DJs that nobody's ever heard of, but I mentioned Paris Hilton, and she's performing and she's DJing at whatever club in Cleveland tonight. Yeah. That place will be packed. And guess what? She's a shitty DJ. I hate to break it to you. Spoiler alert on that. Sorry, yeah. Paris. I have met you, and you're not an evil person.
That's a different career path than I expected her to take.
Well, you know what? In that world, what matters in that celebrity world is that people are talking about you. If you are famous, you can do stuff like that. Oh, I'm going to be a DJ this week. Wait, you were just making a homemade adult film last year. Yeah, but I'm a DJ now because everybody knows that I'm famous. So there's a lot of that in that world, which makes me get turned off by the celebrity DJ thing. I remember years ago, there was in Salt Lake City, they were getting ready for a show, and DJ Pauly D from the Jersey Shore, that show on MTV,
yeah.
He was coming to town to perform, to headline, and I remember reading on, because at the time I wasn't promoting that event, but I was still on the fringe and doing some promoting and stuff, and I was paying attention to that. And I remember some of the comments that people were saying. They were just like, well, as long as he doesn't suck that bad. I'm just like, how low do we have to put our expectations just because somebody's famous that we want to see them perform?
Did he like?
I didn't know.
Everybody showed up?
I didn't go to the show, but it was very my buddy Jake, who put on the show. Congratulations, good job. They had a big crowd. It was great. I did not go. No, I'm not. Having playing the H card and being in the DJ world for a long time, if you see me at a nightclub today, or if you see me at a festival today, it's either because this is the last chance to see the Rolling Stones, or I know somebody who's performing, or I'm invited.
Yeah.
We're pushing 50, man.
We're getting there. Getting there.
I'm not waiting in line. I'm not going to do that stuff. But if I happen to know somebody who's putting on the event and I get invited and I get to bring a couple people with me, sure, maybe. But the days of crawling in and out of bars and bowling alleys,
hauling stuff out at 2:30 in the morning.
Right. How many high schools and junior highs and things? And it just, make no mistake, when we were teenagers, it was fun. But when you're in your 30s and then in your 40s, I'm done with that. And I remember it was interesting because being, DJing in high school and then going to the Art Institute in Pittsburgh and doing some DJ work and stuff around there. It was interesting because I got to really experience what it's like to be there are different types of DJs. There are the more or less a radio DJ, doing the high school dances, the things that we did. It wasn't really about mixing beats and stuff. It was kind of playing a cool song, making people jump, say something kind of cool on the mic, making people jump up again. It was more about playing the right song at the right time.
Yes, I agree.
Feeling that vibe. And then I moved into more of the DJing, morphing into musician area. When you see certain electronic, that's why the term EDM, electronic dance music, it's not considered DJ music anymore. So, getting to work with guys like, I mean, my name's up there on the flyer, working with Simply Jeff. I mean, the guy played Coachella, and shout out to you, Jeff, good dude. But, meeting people like that to experience that stuff, it was fun to more or less do what I do on paper with drawing, learning how to do that with mixing beats and songs and stuff together. So taking it to that route, and then also doing what we're doing here. To make no mistake, this is a form of DJing too.
Absolutely.
So it's been fun for me to experience a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
That the mixing beats and the musician, that's that kind of a rock star experience. More of the engineering side, as far, again, hauling. There's nothing glamorous at all about we're removing speakers and we're getting dirty and everything from the ground on the cord is bent, so we can't use it and we have to go get another one. And it's a gigantic pain in the ass moving things around doing a live show. But again, we had a bunch of young kids where we were young and didn't give a shit and had fun and
Well, if you remember, we had people that would kind of like towards the end load that stuff for us.
Yeah, that's that natural progression because
go ahead.
By the time that we were seniors and even just post high school, right around that time, all of a sudden we've got freshmen and sophomore.
They were dying.
They want to hang out. They want to. So that's right. We did get a little taste of that. Mm-hmm. Of the that's right. Yeah, we're not the peon anymore. And I would experience that when I get onto the promoting side. I was talking about, I think when Joe was in here, that I would get these kids that were, when you switch from, being that guy hauling your records or your music around, going from club to club to getting into the promoting side. It's what's the word I'm looking? We used to kind of make fun of that and make fun of the guys that be like the suits. Like, oh, don't you understand, man? Here's it's the rock star. Here's the girl.
Yeah.
And turns out that's not really where the future is. The future is in getting into promoting. And I would notice that when I started getting into that realm, into the promoting side, there's some of these kids, teenagers or right out of high school, they just want to be part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be involved. And we would do some of these nightclub events, and I'd get these kids that are part of our quote-unquote street team. You know what they do? Now, with social media today, and promoting things digitally, it's a little different now because you can be much more effective with a good Facebook ad than you will going out and putting flyers on cars like we used to do. But those kids that would put flyers on cars, you know what they wanted? In exchange, I didn't pay them. You know what they got? They got a free VIP pass to the party.
Nice.
So this kid, these kids, teenagers, maybe 19, 20, 21 years old, young, and they're going out and they're flyering, busting their butts every night. Their reward is the night of the party, they get to be a rock star or feel like one. Yeah. They walk around with that VIP pass. They know that the girls are checking them out. So it's you're right. We did get to experience that a little bit in high school.
Just a little bit.
A little bit, but hey, we
enough to mention that.
We had a reputation, though.
I think we did.
People they liked what we did, and we had fun, and we did. I don't know how many dances we did at the...
Several. I mean, when it all started, I think music, we all liked music, is what made us really want to do something.
True, yeah. Out of us all, the only one that was really a musician was Fantine.
Yeah, and he's an incredible musician.
Yeah, always has been.
And we like to listen to music. And it didn't matter what music it was, and we just like it. And do you remember, this album's coming out. We got to get to whatever that place was up at the mall.
Yeah, was it Sam Goody?
I don't even remember what it was. Camelot,
yeah.
Camelot. We got to get to Camelot and get the new AC/DC.
It was the cassette tape.
Cassette, yeah. And we collected all of these.
Yeah.
Had a crap load of them.
We really did. We had, between us all, we had a serious collection. Of different types of music, and it was the entire album. Or I say album, what I mean is
cassette tape, but
Yeah. Well, we figured out that cassette tapes are just so damn durable.
Yeah.
You know, this is going to date us here, but that's okay.
There, people are like,
what's
a cassette?
I remember vividly when Tom Petty's Full Moon Fever album came out in 1990, and Fantine had the CD of it. And there's a point, it may not be on the album now, but there's a point on the CD where Tom Petty comes on and says, for those of you that are listening to on the CD, keep going. But if you had the cassette tape, you'd be switching it over right now. He said that.
Yeah.
I remember that. And it was just one of those things that hearing the word CD in the song, like Jazzy Jeff with Summertime, pop in my CD. And, you know.
There's going to be people that watch this that are going to say, what are CDs?
Yeah, well, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Compact disc.
Right. We're getting to the point now where you say CD. Well, again, you know.
It's followed up by nuts.
Well, I had having Sierra on the show. She's 24, and I said to her, "No, you missed VHS tapes. That
Yes.
You know, that was way before you got here." So when you say CD to some of the kids out there, it's an actual disc. It's about yay big, about the size of a softball, and they're flat, and they led the way to laser discs and things like that, and now everything is digital. The idea that it's just a click, but that's hell. If I was doing this with the technology that we had then, I couldn't do it.
No, it'd be rough for sure. You'd think of a way but
we'd come up with it.
Yeah,
you know,
but it would be rough.
Not as convenient as this is, for sure.
No,
I mean,
not at all.
I say it every show. You put that in my hand when we were 15.
Oh man!
And have it do what it can do. Yeah, everybody says we all say the same thing.
A different ball.
Yeah. Well, then I'm talking to a guy that has kids around that age.
Yeah.
As somebody that's not a parent, I can only talk about that so much. I mean, I spend time around teenagers as a coach and things, but being a father, when your kids are growing up with that type of temptation and that type of, quite frankly, bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, we would bust each other's balls as it was. I said it when Joe was on the show. Imagine if somebody started the Kyle Sucks forum, just for whatever reason. And the sad part is, with today's society, you can do that completely anonymous. Mm-hmm. Like a complete chicken shit.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan put it best when he said the internet is a giant glass pane and everybody has a rock. So when your kids are growing up with, you know, we would grow up with the, you know, point and look and tease and call people names, including each other. To be fair, we did it to each other. When you have kids that are growing up with especially girls, growing up with the social media way to more or less attack somebody, like how do you because we didn't grow up with it, how do you prepare them for that?
You know, my girls. Okay, they're 26 and 22 right now.
Okay.
Sorry, girls. They're 26 and 22 right now.
Pushing 50, so
yeah. You know, Missy and I didn't have cell phones until like maybe the 2 generations before a touch screen.
Oh, gotcha.
So my first cell phone was a flip phone. Then the next one was the slide up dude that had the screen,
like the kickstart thing or whatever the heck it was. I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I think it was an LG,
but it had a keyboard.
Yeah, it had a keyboard underneath, which the whole QWERTY pad was there. Awesome.
Yep. Had a stylus in there. Yeah, I remember those. Those were ahead of their time. Those are probably like 2005. Something there. Yeah, those were awesome.
I would say so. Yeah. My girls were teenagers then, dying to have cell phones, but you know what? It was a perfect time where we didn't feel obligated we had to get them cell phones just yet.
It was a little bit before you started seeing every kid with cell phones. That's true.
So we're like, when we think you're old enough, we'll get you cell phones, which right now might have been, 13, 14, 13-ish, 14-ish, and then that was for the older one, and the younger one, she wanted one, so maybe she got one when she was 12.
I see kids that are 6 years old now with
Yeah.
and that, I mean, to be fair, there are certain companies out there that don't make special brands of cell phones for young kids.
Absolutely.
That, like, call mom, call dad,
Yeah.
call home, call the police, that type
Mhm.
of. And I'm all for that all day.
That's probably safe.
Sure. But they actually make those for kids, and they make them for the elderly.
Okay, good.
It serves the same purpose, because you don't really need to react and understand. And that's, because elderly people, sometimes things, deteriorate. So
Yeah.
the idea that I'm having an emergency, press the help button.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. But again, when I see some of these kids, I'll go to these wrestling tournaments and stuff, and I'll see the younger brother or sister or some of these kids that I'm coaching, and these kids are 5, 6 years old. They have a phone nicer than me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, what the hell are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
What in the world, if you're 5 years old, what in the world are you going to do with a $1,500 phone? Like, what? I don't.
How do you constitute?
I don't get it. I don't.
I mean, I could see a parent pulling it out and saying, "Here, play with this for a little bit." But
yeah.
man, how do you constitute that kind of money?
Well,
where they can lose it down a catch basin and it's gone.
Well, true, but in my opinion, although is the money a factor? Sure, but there are people out there that they have more resources and they know what to do with.
It's
so
nothing.
Money doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, the deeper picture is, what is that device in that kid's hand? Forget the cost. The financial cost is one thing. It's just like with and again, I don't care where anybody sits politically on COVID or whatever. The untold damage of COVID is these kids that have missed school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Think about, when we grew up together, and we were a tight knit group, and we grew up in
Dude, there could have been friendships lost and everything.
No kidding.
And there is.
Right.
That's happening now.
Right.
For sure.
And that's the part of the untold real casualties of this. Make no mistake, it's not just about understanding July 4th, 1776 and A squared, B squared equals C squared. It's more than that. It's interacting with each other. Yeah. It's interacting with your friends. It's interacting with adults. Quite frankly, there are a lot of teachers out there. I'm sorry. There are a lot of teachers out there that, I shouldn't say that. I got along with them, but there are some teachers that probably didn't care for me very much. Most did. But the fact that I was there in the room with them, face to face, experiencing that,
it's huge.
Right? And for kids that are missing that, or if they're doing it over Zoom, it's not the same.
Well, to your point about technology, it was said about God. Said about Samuel Colt. God made man. Samuel Colt made them equal, but whoever invented the internet made them all invisible. So
Good point.
they can.
That's terrifying.
They can do these things and be invisible, and on the good sense, learn being invisible. And
it's a coward's playground. If you think about it.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about it.
And as of this recording, I still haven't come back to Facebook yet, and I'm debating about whether or not I really want to.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
There's some stuff that I miss, but I find when I was on Facebook, I would find myself just all of a sudden, I've just wasted 30 minutes just scrolling on people's bullshit.
Yeah.
And none of it.
There's so much.
Right.
I do it myself.
We all do. And this is why I'm doing everything I can to have success of not being on Facebook. And also, there's I don't get into a lot of political discussions here on the show, but then I'm not afraid to. I'll get into that because, again, the reason why I enjoy debates is because I don't get into a debate unless I know what the hell I'm talking about. Or if there's two people sitting here that are experts, I'll listen to them and I'll sit here and shut up. But if if I have a feeling on something, I'm going to get in and I'm going to have a debate about it. The challenge is always again being able to learn and when you start talking about things that are political, it can be touchy sometimes. Yeah. But if there are things going on with Facebook right now, if for those of you out there, go ahead and do your due diligence and take a look. I have a real problem with censorship. I have a real problem with that. And back in the day, and again, this gets into our time when we were growing up.
Yes.
Back in the day, the censorship was the parental advisory sticker. And the people that were banging that drum were like the religious right. They were the people that were way on this side of the spectrum saying, this is dirty, this is evil, this is mean, whatever. We have to put the advisory sticker on here, which was a big deal when that happened.
Yeah, those little cassettes all had one on it.
Right. And I think that, I don't even know if they do anymore, but they did. Everything's all digital now, but they actually go out and buy a cassette.
Well, Zuckerberg puts up a warning.
Well,
this may or not be true.
It's very, the difference is, when the religious right would bang that drum as far as, hey, it says here in this book or in this Bible or in this verse, this is wrong. There were a lot of people out there that were like, you can keep that. Now, what we're seeing and what's going on with Facebook now, they're openly censoring people that instead of, oh, you disagree with the Lord or you disagree with this book, now you disagree with me. And if you disagree with me, and this is my platform, I'm going to shut you down.
Yeah.
And the sad part is the people that are doing that, for the vast majority, are people that aren't the right-wing Bible thumpers. They're the exact opposite. They're the people that call themselves liberals, or the people that call themselves, open to thoughts and ideas and things. The idea that somebody can turn from, hey man, let your freak flag fly. Let's hang out. Let's talk. Let's learn. To wait a minute, you don't agree with me, so you need to not only shut up. I'm going to put you out of business. I have a problem with that.
Yep.
And Facebook is at the center of that.
Yes, they are. But in my opinion,
well, the bottom line is, if I can control information, that's the most powerful thing on the planet. Period. There's nothing more powerful than that.
Yeah.
When I'm coaching some of these young kids and these wrestlers and stuff, I'll get into that with them. It's not just about being in shape and learning technique. There's a real psychology with that. And the example that I'll use is, I'll say to some kid, I'll pull him aside. Actually, this one kid this morning, I was just telling him, like, if I pulled you aside and I said, man, stop hitting that. Every time you hit that single leg, you never get anywhere with that. Or if I said, great news. You lost, especially if I said this to this kid right after he lost the match. Like, great news. Great news. And he'd look at me, what do you mean, great news? I just lost. Be like, you get in that single leg every time. So what we have to do is just learn to adjust a little bit, turn that shoulder in, and all of a sudden that's a 6-point swing.
Okay.
Exact same message to the kid, delivered 2 different ways. And he got it. And I said, you're right. In a match or a fight, I can take it over with these hands. My words can take over a country.
Well, that's been said too.
Right. And look at history. That's the way it works. So the idea that if I have a platform,
that is the way it works.
Right. And if I control the information, I might have all the skeletons in the world in my closet. But if you don't know about it, and I control the platform for that. So again, what I'm getting, and here I am, I'm doing the show on YouTube, and YouTube is doing something very similar to a lot of different people and that's why, again, I will not shy away from certain subjects, especially when I had Sumter come on the show.
Yeah. We
talked about some things that I could understand some pushback, but with his experience and his resume and his record, find flaws in it. Yeah. And in the end, if you listen to that show, you're going to hear a guy that gives a damn.
Yep.
And that's what means more than anything. Mm-hmm. So, again, not being afraid of certain subjects and stuff. So when social media, it's become a necessary evil, especially if you're any type of if you have anything to sell, a product, a service, or things like that, to not embrace social media, to not embrace Facebook in particular, you can do yourself a disservice. Mm-hmm. But again, if they're working against you,
well, it can be stay competitive.
Yeah, it's to stay relevant for sure. If you're not, actively out and unfortunately, one thing that's sad is I would run into friends of mine that I had on Facebook. I would run into them somewhere out there in the real world, and they never would wouldn't even like talk to me.
Yes.
You know? And I'm like, what the hell? What kind of world is? What is this?
Well, you're invisible.
Right?
The internet's made people invisible.
It has.
I can be invisible, or I can act like you're invisible.
And there's some freedom in that.
There is.
Too much, almost.
But is that really friendship?
I don't think so.
You know?
But yeah, it's.
You look at my friends list. How many of those people do I have on there because they're friends, or how many people do I have on there because just like keep your friends close and your enemies closer? That's not the case, folks. But people do that for that reason.
Of course,
it's what do you call that? Trolling? No,
I
don't know what you call it,
but you know what? I call it being safe. Quite frankly,
okay.
There's a real truth to that.
Yeah.
Keeping your friends closer, your enemies closer. There's a truth to that.
And you still won't say hi to them in
Right.
Walmart because you've made them.
And I'll tell you right now, I will not apologize. There are some people out there that are absolutely in that group that I stay in touch with. And guess what? Chances are you know damn well who you are.
Ooh.
Don't care. Don't care.
That's
Yeah. What matters is love me, hate me. You're paying attention right now.
I love it.
So there's that. So again, there's the victory in that. So it's but there are people that I am quote unquote friends with in cyberspace that I grew up with that I probably haven't talked to 30 years.
That's bound to happen though.
But I don't have any desire to really talk to them. And they would probably say the same thing. But yet here we are, linked up on social media as if we're parading around like we're still in fifth grade together. And it's just I think the smart thing is just realizing that it's all synthetic, all of it. I just don't believe anything that you see.
That's the important part to me, and that's the only thing we can push on, or not push on, but instill in our young people is, man, you still have the choice, your own decision to make on whether you want to believe the stuff that you see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know if that was the point you were making or not.
No, it makes perfect sense. Okay. It gets into, if you believe it, and without getting into like philosophical or therapy, but if you believe it and you give it power,
well,
you make it real.
Yeah.
Or you could not. And once again, it's just like if somebody was to come out and say, Scott, you're homophobic. I could get pissed and angry and get defensive, or I can just laugh because you don't get to call me that because I'm not. So I don't care. You know what I mean? So on one hand, but a lot of it is a bit of a tell, because if people are really going to flip out over something like that, it's a bit of a tell that we're kind of, for the most part, out of problems.
Is that what it is?
I think so. Well, as a guy who has traveled internationally and stuff, and I've seen people sleeping on dirt floors, and we have that here in our country too.
Yeah.
But the idea that for most people, when I say most people, although there probably are some people out there that I know personally that would say that that's not the case, most people that you and I know have running water.
More than likely, yes.
Right. Most people that you and I know have heat. Fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So when I say we're out of problems, I mean stuff like that. But we're not waking up in the morning wondering, how we're going to survive today. We have our country is full of massive conveniences. Are we perfect? No. Do we have things to work on? Absolutely. But the idea that, case in point, if kids are going to be pissed because they don't have the newest iPhone, you know what? You're not really struggling that much.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But there are some who do. Absolutely who do. There are absolutely people who struggle, and there's a reality with that. But what I'm getting at is, if there are people sleeping on dirt floors, do not put yourself in the same boat as suffering as those types of people. But people will, and they'll do it over social media.
Yes.
The idea, I stubbed my toe today, I'm going to go ahead and share this out here so everybody can give me a virtual hug.
Yeah.
You're not suffering. You're not having a bad day. You just need some type of validation.
I want to see the toe.
Yeah, show it to me. Right.
Put a picture of the toe up.
Right. Well, I use that as an example all the time, just getting into psychology, meaning, if you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is you stub your toe and you say, oh man, shit, today's going to suck. What happens? Today sucks.
Stubbing toes sucks.
Well,
the day only can get better.
Right. Well, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
But there are people that, they'll do that and, man, today is just going to suck. And what happens is that's what happens because you convince yourself today's going to suck. And that's exactly what happens. But you're right. If you stub your toe and you shift that into, you know what, I got the worst part of my day out of the way. I got the worst part of the day out of my way first thing. Yeah, this is bad. This hurts. This smarts a little bit, but guess what? In about 20 minutes, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
And the rest of the day is all downhill from
Call it a positive limp.
Right.
Yeah.
So being able to shift that is a gift, actually. So credit you for that. So the idea that you jump to that conclusion right away, because most people don't. They'll go the other way. Man, yeah, today is going to suck.
Yeah.
It turns into you manifest your destiny.
Yes.
How many times have we gone into a movie or a concert or a TV show or something and be like, yeah, this is going to be awful. And it almost
turns out great.
Sometimes it does. But then sometimes you get to be disappointed. But the point is, when you have preconceived notion and you focus on the negative stuff, maybe things aren't really that negative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. Again, there are people out there that are genuinely struggling and stuff, and I want to do everything I can to assist them and all that. But there are a lot of people out there that say they struggle and they're really not. And to be fair, I've been guilty of that sometimes too. There are circumstances that go into that. Sometimes personal issues, sometimes addictions, sometimes depressions or stuff like that. That people genuinely, truly need some assistance. So there's true, but there are a lot of people that make a mountain out of a molehill.
There are.
And I think that we're all guilty of that.
To some degree. Know exactly where to go when we want to do that.
Right.
Facebook.
Right. Yeah. Which is, again, to bring that subject back.
As I beat up Facebook, I admit I'm on there, but I belong to different groups, like these watch collecting groups and just some fun cars, muscle cars, stuff like that. Whatever. Well,
it can be an amazing tool.
Yeah, that's where it's been cool to me.
Yeah. The problem where I said this a couple shows ago. One of the biggest reasons why I got off Facebook is we're heading into the election, and I had enough. I'd had enough of people, and again, I don't give a damn where you sit in the political spectrum. I don't care. Where I shut down is when you're on this side and you're on this side, and you guys are going to go back and forth, and you end up behaving like imbeciles. Yes. It's the same thing like. The example I'll use is if you get a Browns fan and a Steelers fan in the same room, and turns out Ben Roethlisberger goes out and puts his hands on a hostess. Well, the Browns fan wants to see Ben kicked out of the league.
Yeah.
The Steelers fan wants to see Ben suspended for one half of one preseason game.
Yeah.
So the idea that it's my guy over your guy, and I'm going to see him or her through rose-colored glasses, and it's just look. My experience of being in and around that spectrum is I don't believe any of it. So if you're going to sit there and tell me that you know how I should live, and I do the same thing with somebody that are really off the chart with their religious stuff too. If you're off the chart with your politics and you're off the chart with your religion, I'm shutting down because you're not going to use that as a weapon against me. I'm going to let you do that. So you're right. The idea that there's people out there whose opinions that I genuinely care about, people that I genuinely love, I see them behaving and or saying and or posting things that is just okay.
I may or may not have been guilty of, certain cartoons or different things posted in my political views, but hey.
Well, and this isn't a stab at you, but I'm just saying there are people that on all of sort of just like, you know what, I'm out.
I know when I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, and make no mistake.
I admit.
Me, pre-Elyria Catholic, I was pretty outspoken on a lot of things.
Mhm.
But once I had to get a lyric, I actually had to go back through my social media and clean up a bunch of stuff. I did. I was outspoken on a lot of things. And looking back on it, I don't take back how I feel. I understand that maybe sharing some of those things was a bit aggressive, and I can understand why that would turn some people off. So all the more reason why, you know what, I'm going to keep it to me.
Yeah, you still got it. So
Right. And I look at this. I'm not fighting anymore. I don't want to fight people anymore. I'm tired of that. I just want to get into just enjoying time with people. So, and that being said, I love training people to actually get in and fight, but I don't. It's something I care about. You know what? I don't want a confrontation. I don't want that.
Yeah.
So, which is, again, here on the show, I have no problem having people come in if they have differences of opinions and stuff, and we can have debates and discussions and things. I'm all about that. I don't want every show to be a kiss-ass festival, although that's kind of fun. I just want to be able to make sure that, again, that everybody's just open and honest and not crossing any lines.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
But Facebook is it can be an asset or it can be a crutch for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
I don't know.
I agree.
But the catalyst for me is I just found myself just spending too damn much time on there more than anything else.
Yeah.
It was very time consuming, too much. But I don't know. I'm probably what I'm going to end up doing is I don't want to have a personal Facebook page anymore. So I'm probably going to take my different projects and avenues and just, although I had those pages for them, I'm probably going to redo them and make it like Fighting Shape Official or Swarm Fight Team Official or Marion Creations Official, just to start them over.
Yeah.
Just because if I'm going to be doing things and have them out there in the public, that's fine. But people don't need to see where I'm having lunch. Yeah. That's just my feeling. But if you're out there, and on the flip side of that, there are people that go to the gym and they check in when they go to the gym, or they check in when they're going to their workout class, or they're going to their sporting practice or whatever. Doing that and checking in, if that makes you feel good, okay. Again, if you're going to be,
I would advise against it, but
I agree for that reason, because I just don't want people knowing.
I don't want. Not only do I not always want people knowing where I'm at, I don't want them knowing where I'm not at.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I've had the same discussion where you post as a guy who, especially once we have the new gym and things. My schedule is literally public, posted when I'm doing full-time training.
It kind of has to be.
Right, I have to do that. So that absolutely. People can fill in the gaps. Yes. Well, if he's here, he's not going to be over here. So I get that.
That can be scary, I mean, you can only do something about it if you're there.
Right. And there's truth to that. So there's that's a concern. But all the more reason why.
Well, we can't live in a bubble,
right,
or be in fear. After the past year or 18 months, 2 years, we're working on second year, and it's time to get out.
Right.
Can't wait.
It's they've been bottled up.
Yes. Today's the 2nd.
Yeah.
So we're free in Ohio now, so a little bit.
Just I went into a couple stores yesterday without the mask. And it was the first time I went into Target without the mask on. And there's still some people with masks on and stuff. They have the sign outside that says, they're suggested if you have not been vaccinated or if you're having symptoms and stuff, which, good.
What are the current,
I don't know.
After the 2nd, what are they supposed to be?
I don't.
Somebody's going to be chewing us over that.
Probably. Which is fine. Well, again,
we don't know. We're not doctors.
Neither one of us here are experts, just to be clear on that. But from what we understand, today being the 2nd, Kyle's right. There was supposed to be some new mandate that happened.
I believe it's no masks.
It's no masks. Honor system, from what I understand, for those vaccinated.
I think so. Retailers, companies can require a mask. I believe they can still require a mask.
Yep.
for you to enter.
Yeah, I think it's
and
their
then that
discretion.
becomes for the masses, that becomes a level of politeness,
which that's a whole nother
throw
discussion.
it on to be polite. It doesn't bother me to throw it on.
Yeah,
Then there's
same
some
thing.
that people have the vaccinations that comes in. Oh, well, I got vaccinated. I don't need to wear it no more. Well, who knows?
Well, it came from the lab. It didn't come from a lab. It came from a bat. It didn't come from a bat. Look, it almost makes me think that there's some people out there that are just, again, controlling a certain amount of information to control people. I'm not saying that's the case.
Wait. Would that be happening on something called the internet?
Well,
social media?
Well, like Abraham Lincoln said, everything on the internet is true.
Abraham.
Yeah, I read that on the internet.
So he said it. Yeah, it has to be true.
So there you go. I mean, right there. It's in the quote.
Yes.
So say what you want. I read it.
It's there.
So anything you say is clearly null and void. Again, at the risk of getting redundant with that, there's some magical things that the internet can do. The idea that I can press a button right now and message a friend of mine in Russia is amazing.
While we're doing this,
literally can. And soon as the technology grows, we'll be able to do this live. Now, again, in the time that we record this and the time it goes on, it's going to be a couple days. But the idea that soon, hopefully with a producer and maybe the co-host, we'll see how things grow. The idea that we can do this stuff live is great. Technology is amazing with that. It's also
comes a huge responsibility.
It does, yeah.
Huge responsibility. Yeah. Somebody said that. With something comes huge responsibility.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yes.
Spider-Man.
Was it Spider-Man?
Yeah, Spider-Man. Yeah. I'm okay. Don't care. Come at me. Whatever.
Great power comes great. I think it was.
Actually,
it was one of the Avengers for sure.
No, well, he is an Avenger. When that was said, it was Uncle Ben when Uncle Ben was shot. And
and he's right.
Yeah,
Damn it.
Well, I said it. Believe it or not, talking into a microphone for the world to hear and see, there's a responsibility in that.
There's got to be some lawyer that knows that it came from a famous politician or
probably
somebody on Mount Rushmore or something.
The great power comes great responsibility. No, that was Stan Lee that wrote that.
Did he really? Okay, good.
Stan Lee wrote that. It was either him or Steve Ditko, but I believe it was Stan Lee that wrote that, and that was in the Spider-Man comic book.
Good.
Yeah. Which I believe it was the Amazing Fantasy. It wasn't even Spider-Man in his own book yet.
Oh wow!
Well, I'm geeking myself out.
That's all right.
And if you get your hands on one of those comic books, even if it's chewed up by a dog, it's going to be worth a lot. So get your hands on one of those for sure. It's there's truth to that. Yeah. There's absolutely. It's the same thing. To the combat realm, the kid that I'm coaching right now, if he went out and started to beat up 7-year-olds, clearly he's being irresponsible. But
you taught him that.
Well, right.
And now you're...
right. And that goes from irresponsible to criminal. If I'm training adults and they're going out there and literally beating up kids, that's a real problem. Now, of course, that was shown to the Hollywood degree with the Cobra Kai. The idea that here's the bad guys with the karate, that they're out there, strike first, strike hard, no mercy. And then you have the Miyagi guy about making everything spiritual and more real and all that. There's truth in that for sure. I've been around some coaches that are less than reputable for sure. Yeah. Well, again, it gets back into it's a dirty business. Every business,
absolutely.
There's not a business out there that doesn't have some dirty element to it.
Something.
Right. So. And when you're talking about, combat, there's that immediate...
the egos, flair, and...
I've said it a million times. I never anticipated how human beings that do something so hard and so difficult can have such fragile egos. I've seen fighters, they get their feelings hurt so easy. Well, in the example, the kid Robbie that I'm training, I was messing with him a little bit today because, again, that I'm a little bit older and I've been around the sport for a while. I can throw scenarios and things at him that he's not necessarily prepared for. Meaning, I said to him, guess what? You might be 28 years old someday and you have to fight somebody that's 36, 37. You're coming up. He's coming down. He knows he can't match you physically. So you know what he's going to do? He's going to do every dirty trick in the book.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to try to pull you away from your fight, which, by the way, he might decide he's going to talk shit to you. And he was just kind of nodding his head. And I said,
the kind of shit nobody else can hear while they're...
Right. I said, guess what? You might take him down. You might be on top of him. And he might say something about your girlfriend. And he just kind of, the look he had on his face, I'm like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. That right there. So your challenge is keep those emotions in check.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? If I was fighting you, you're younger, stronger, more athletic, faster than me. I'm going to talk shit. I'm going to do everything I can to get you emotional, to get you to where you're not able
off
to
your game.
Right. So you're not able to control that. So there's and that's part of share, because it was something that nobody had ever said that to him before. Like, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Like, yeah, it's a fight.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is, do not be nice. And if I'm fighting you, I personally would not bring up family or things like that if I was fighting you. But there are a lot of fighters who will.
Yeah.
So to find honor amongst fighters, in the end, you're literally beating each other up for a paycheck.
Yes.
So I want to win. So there's a lot to be said about that. So there's the thing that I love about that is it's just out in the open. Which, getting back to what you're saying about the internet, that everybody can be anonymous, which it's just the chicken shit way to go.
Yeah.
I've had people literally post and try to say things and badmouth me, and then days later I'm in the same gym with them.
Yeah.
I'm 20 feet away from them. You know what they have to say to me?
Nothing.
Not a word.
Yeah.
Not a word. Not a single peep.
Yep.
Funny. Because if it was the other way around, if I'm going to jump on social media and call out Kyle Roberts because Kyle Roberts sucks and I'm going after Kyle Roberts and F you and you're a joke, blah, 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 and then you and I are in the same room with each other, I'm not going to sit there and be quiet.
Yeah.
And I would not expect you to do that to me either.
Yeah.
But getting back into, these guys are a little bit younger. They've grown up as far as being able to learn how to hide behind the internet.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Well, that's been a danger. I don't know if it's gone away, but I know of a person that was new to Facebook, got on there, and got on a group that he enjoyed, and in this group made a comment. Somebody else it's the same thing. Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh argument came up, that's not what it was.
But it was the equivalent of, yeah.
And this dude had words, had names, and the other person started creeping on him and found out, well, this is, a 17-year-old kid that works at blah, blah, blah. Oh, and they're open on Saturday. And this guy didn't have anything to do on Saturday, so
Paid him a visit.
it was close enough where they paid him a visit. Now, nothing ended up happening, but the kid learned, oh, man, that just happened.
Yeah. Well,
there was a handshake involved and that was about it. But it's like that.
I'm going to share a story, and then we'll kind of wrap it up from there.
Oh, okay.
On that note, I have a story to share. Okay, this was in, I believe, 1998, 1999, somewhere in that area. I was at the time I was out of school and I had my first real job selling cars. I was making money and having fun and I was driving a brand new Trans Am at the time, and I had a buddy of mine who said, "Hey, let's go out to this house party." And I'm not going to say names about any of these people, but so we went out to this house party, and I was 24, 25 at the time, and there were some people there over 21, but I was the oldest guy there. There were a lot of teenagers. So I showed up, and immediately did not feel comfortable.
Kind of out of place.
Of course, I showed up in the nicest car.
Well, you aged well, so they probably didn't even.
Well, they didn't know my age at the time, and I even had hair. But thank you for that. They didn't know that, but I showed up when you're 24, 25 years old, and you're young, and you're really in shape and things, and driving the hot sports car.
Yeah.
I show up at the party. Those guys get pissed. Why? The girls are paying attention to the car. They're paying attention to my buddy and I. And all of a sudden, I look around, and it's my buddy and I, and there's 8 dudes looking at us. And the guy that was with me, although he's a nice guy, not a fighter.
Okay.
And I'm looking around and thinking, no, no, I'm out of place. I was in an area south of Wellington.
You're the visiting team.
Right. Yeah. So, and there were some things that were said to me that just, if it would have been me and this guy in a room alone, it would have been completely different.
Yeah.
And I just kind of bowed my head and left. And we left the party. And then it was a few days later, I found out from somebody else who the guy was. Okay. So I put a plan together.
Nice. I love a plan.
Yeah.
And the plan, gotta love it when a plan comes together.
Here's the way the plan worked. I had myself and 3 other friends. I had a car from the dealership, because we would have loaner cars. And I had a car from the dealership that was a white Cadillac. No plates on it, of course. And I found out this guy's name, and I found out where he lived, and I found out his phone number. And we were all at the house, and I was calling him, and it was busy, and it was busy, and it was busy, and finally he answered. And I asked if it was him, and he said, yep, and I hung up. The 4 of us got into the car, and we drove over there. And this was it was night, but it wasn't really late. It was 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, something like that. And this guy has a big turnaround driveway. Pulled into the driveway, and at the time, I'm 24. I'm really in shape at the time. I was wearing combat fatigues,
okay,
boots, tank top. Parked the car far enough away from the house. And I drove purposely that all you could see was a car sitting there with the amber parking lights on. And this is exactly how I planned this, and I kid you not, I went exactly to the T.
Nice.
I went up, and I knocked on the door. And again, this was all purposely staged. I knocked on the door, and he comes to the door. And he sees me there, and he looks over his shoulder. He sees the car out there. And immediately, he knew he was in trouble. And I said, yeah, I called him by his first name and his last name, by the way. When I talked to him, I called him by his first and last name every time. As if I'm saying, hey, that's right, Kyle Roberts. How you doing there, Kyle Roberts?
Yeah.
You know what? I know where you live, Kyle Roberts. So I was making that very clear to him, because he didn't know who I was. And again, I was a little bit older than him. And, I said to him, he apologized, like right away. Hey, man, my. I said, you had your moment. Now it's my turn, wise ass.
Yeah. Now, you're still the visiting team.
I'm still the visiting team.
But you got a plan.
Oh.
So.
I'm on his goal line.
Yeah. And it's mano a mano.
Right.
Okay.
And, we're just the 2 of us. And, the car is a good 50 feet away. The car is just sitting there running. And I said to him, like, look, and I kept calling him by his first and last name. I said, it's a good thing that you caught me now than a couple years ago. Because a couple years ago, I wouldn't have been talking to you.
Yeah.
It would have been something different would have happened. Now, because I have turned the corner and doing dumb things like that, no.
It doesn't get anybody anywhere.
Right. It doesn't do anything for me anymore. So getting physical, no. But I still get mad. The difference is now, when I get mad, these guys get physical.
Right. That's right. I forgot you had them. Okay.
And at that moment, this was all cued. They knew that it was happening. All 3 doors opened up, and those guys got out. And again, you couldn't see their faces, but you could tell that. And they had in their hands a golf club, a baseball bat, and a chain.
Nice.
They just got out and they didn't say a word. When I said that, I kid you not, I will bet anything that guy soiled himself. It was a moment that I know he'll never forget. And right then, by the way, the door opens up and this guy's dad comes out.
So he's a youngin' also.
At the time I was like 25. He was probably 21, 22 maybe.
Okay.
The dad comes out. He's probably in his early 40s. Well, he's younger than we are now.
Yeah.
And he came out and was just like trying. He to be fair, I have a feeling looking back on it that he's had to deal with his kid causing problems in the past.
Possibly.
That's the feeling that I got. Because his dad although he wasn't happy that I was there, I told him, I put my hand on his son's shoulder. I said, "Don't worry, your son did now. Looks like we have everything worked out." And the guy looked out, saw my friends, looked back to me. So is everything worked out? I said, "Oh yeah, we're good, right?" And I looked at him, called him by his first and last name. I said, "Are we good?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Absolutely, thank you, sir." And we left. So the point is, what I said to him was true. If he would have met me a couple of years before it, maybe even a few months before that, it would have been a different conversation. But now I have this story, which is absolutely true, can absolutely be corroborated by a few people. That this is a story that I'm actually writing in my book. It's in my book, and which my book is that's something different too. That's autobiography, which is I haven't even really talked about that. It's something else I've toying with for years, which you're in that, of course.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, again, you made an impact. The point is, I could have went over there and rolled that guy and probably gotten in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Or, hopefully, he learned a lesson. Hopefully he did.
Yeah.
So looking back on it, I'm more proud of and there was a lot of planning and work and effort and everything that went into that. What I didn't do is just wait for the kid outside of his house and jump him and do because
or get on the young internet and slam him.
Right. And again, this was in 98, right around. If this would have been in 2008, 2018, it would have been a completely different. It would have turned into. And this, in my opinion, is where violence spikes. Is because instead of just going out and slugging it out, now it's going to turn into a back and forth, and now instead of just you and I having a problem, now there's literally thousands of people that see this problem.
A whole bunch of people upset.
Right. So now, instead of just you and I going off in the other room and settling it, now I'm going to shoot you.
Yeah, man.
But that's what we're seeing, especially with a lot of the younger kids.
Yeah.
The days...
Or getting upset and doing something to themselves.
That too.
Which is, gosh.
Horrific, but you're right. Yeah. That's again, the bullying that we had with each other, we called it just busting balls, which we were. But in reality, we were pretty mean on some things that we did. Yeah. But what we didn't have is, again, we would have 5 of us sitting at a lunch table busting each other's balls. We didn't have the whole school.
That's true.
Knowing what we were talking about. If we would have,
that is true.
We probably would have had some more real possible worst case scenarios, growing up. Yeah. We had some kids. I was one that had challenges and was lashed out from time to time. So if there would have been a few thousand people looking at that and commenting on things and poking fun, who knows how any of us could have reacted to that. So it's
even adults get in and comment, and it's like, oh man.
But that's what makes me sick about some of this stuff. Is like, you're an adult.
Yeah.
You're 45, 46, 47 years old. Why are you getting into a pissing contest with a 22-year-old? What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? I don't understand that. But again, there was times not too long ago that I like to stir the pot a little bit. I still do, and I never will stop it. I'm just doing it a little bit more productive, a little more creative way, I suppose, is the way to put it. So, it's and that's kind of a good way to bring everything full circle, because you knew me back when, being wild and crazy, and still wild and crazy, but just
we all have been, folks.
Well, it's true. It's again, I always end up getting long-winded on a lot of these things and feel like sometimes I'm just really just kind of overtaking it.
No,
But,
that's okay.
I
don't think so.
Yeah, well, I hope not. In the end, make no mistake, I want people to enjoy the show, but what matters to me is that I want to make sure that my guests have a good time. This is important to me because, again, you're a guy that we scratched the surface on some of the stories and things that we have. It's
barely scratched.
I mean, hardly. But
we've got stories we won't share.
No, I will not. And even like the story I just shared about let's call it the revenge story. I'm not going to name names with that. I will in the book. When the book comes out, you can go ahead and buy it for $49.95 or more if it's autographed. But no, just like the thirst. In the end, that's just another project that I'm working on because it's an autobiography. Guess what? I'm not dead yet, so I want to keep.
We got plenty of time. Right, we got plenty of time.
We do, and this is the beauty of, as we get older, the beauty of doing something like this. We can be 80 and do this.
Yep.
Yeah. We're not going to be 80 lugging speakers and stuff around.
No,
we're not going to do that.
No.
But we can sit and tell the world how we think about things.
Yes. And hopefully the speakers will be lighter, but we're still not going to do it.
They are. I mean, they make speakers the size of my hand that are just, out of this world compared. No, they're.
I have seen them. I'm not that out of touch. A little bit, but.
Well, again, the running theme, the technology.
Yeah.
What we can do in here 30 years ago would have been impossible. And what we can do with a portable, which is exactly, once again, shameless plug, check out the Thunder Live, what we're going to be doing at Keystone High School. The idea that we can take this technology and put together a portable show for these wrestlers, it's really cool. Yeah. We did do that in 30 years ago. The NOIZ BOYZ came in and DJ'd the wrestling matches and stuff.
On the mezzanine.
Yeah, it was awesome. Now
I just got a little goosebumpy.
Yeah, well, that's the reason why when we in February of 2020 when Wellington had the conference tournament, that's why I brought the show there.
Okay.
And now we're designing something that's going to be a little bit more portable. So again, it's not a secret, it's my favorite sport. So taking one of my favorite loves, DJing and emceeing and putting on shows and stuff, combining it with wrestling, especially high school wrestling, it's a win-win. And what I told Coach Chris when he was here, guess what? The difference is, since I'm not coaching a team, all I care about is putting on a show. It's up to you and your opponents to put on good matches.
Yeah.
They put on the matches, I put on the show.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
You love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
It's funny.
I just now made that up.
Go ahead and write that down. It's Roberts.
Yeah.
Guess you're wondering. Go ahead and write it down and put it on a t-shirt. Yeah.
It deserves to be on a t-shirt.
For sure. So if you work, no, I'm not going to repeat that. But you're right. If you are doing something that you love, it isn't work. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just like when again, without going on a political route, when somebody is a professional athlete that has incredible wealth and incredible influence, and you're going to turn around and complain. It's like, you know what? Okay, you get paid to be an athlete.
They got a PhD from Twitter.
Yeah, it's like I've said it a million times. Look, I don't want to listen to people that play pretend for a living. I don't care what their political views are. I don't care. It's just, when I get around people and this kind of subject comes up and in the Hollywood and this and that, I'm like, I always say, like, you do understand that Hugh Jackman doesn't really have metal that comes out of his arm, right? You do understand that, right? You understand that we're talking about people that play pretend for a living. Now, they do an amazing job at it.
They do a great job.
And God bless them. It's awesome. Yep. That's what they're here for. They're here to entertain us.
And they're doing what they love.
Right. And keep doing it. Love you.
Yeah.
Love you guys. But even The Greatest Showman, Hugh Jackman, amazing in that. Awesome. But Hugh, your political views, to me, that's a zero.
Yeah.
It doesn't move the needle for me at all. Mm-hmm. I don't care.
Well, they can have political views.
Sure.
Expect their fan. I don't know.
But you expect
their fans to follow them also.
Right. Have your view, but want me.
That's what's great about the United States. We can all have our views.
Right. Right.
Even if they're wrong. You know who you are.
A lot of times we are wrong. But
I'm just kidding.
Well, there's always going to be, again.
It's healthy.
It can be.
It's healthy.
Sure.
The opposite criticism, believe it or not, is healthy.
I agree.
And if you don't have that, that's when it's dangerous.
By definition.
For either party.
Right. Exactly. By definition, if you are refusing knowledge, you're being ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
Period. So there are some things on one side, some things onto another side. Again, like somebody will ask me, are you conservative or are you liberal? My answer is sure. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
What's the subject?
Yeah.
You know, what is it? Because guess what? When it's something like prostitution, I'm pretty liberal.
Yeah.
You know, let consenting adults do whatever the hell they want to do. When it comes to something like crime, okay, you break into my house, you're going to pay a price.
Yeah, we're going to get liberal with these.
Yeah, you're going to pay a price for it. So the idea to be on one side of an issue or the other without even discussing the issue, to me, is at best silly. At worst, it's damaging, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you speak of the phenomenal athlete, and he can have his opinions too.
Sure.
But just like you said, I don't need that. I'm choosing to not.
I pay to watch you play sport.
Yes.
That's what
I'll even listen to the opinion.
Right. Well,
because you have to you have to ascertain whether or not you.
I want to hear my athletes talk about what they're engaging in. I want to hear I want to hear a fighter talk about the fight they just had and the fight they have coming up. I want to hear a basketball player talk about the next game in the series. I want to hear that. I want to hear how you're feeling. What's your strategy? How you feeling physically? Yes. I want to hear that. I don't want to hear about who you voted for. Now, again, you're right. The beauty is you can say whatever you want.
Yeah. For now.
Right. For now. But I don't have to listen to you. So there's beauty in that.
Ever.
Right.
So
ever.
No matter even if for now.
Right. And that's the scary part, is because if it turns into listen to me or else.
Yeah.
Or else what? And again, if somebody...
That's a different show, Scott.
Well, if somebody... You're right. If somebody out there is up to no good and they're controlling information, it's scary, but it's also exhilarating and it's fun. And it's a great opportunity to reunite with people with this technology and the availability that we have. And again, the idea that I've been, back here in Ohio for 5 years now, roughly, and we've hardly seen each other.
I know, man. That's...
Well, we're here. That's what we're
here. Everybody gets caught up in their own lives, and I think that happens, but we know we love each other, and it doesn't matter how long it is between seeing each other. To me,
I agree.
And I think you feel the same way.
Man,
it doesn't matter how much time. There's probably some cute little thing written on Facebook.
When I saw you pulling in here, I was 15 again.
Yeah, I was I've not stopped smiling. Well, I've stopped, but
it's.
I'm laughing.
You even said that. Hey, man, I'm so. His exact words were when he got out of the car. It's like, "Are we filming this?
We should film this now."
And I pulled the Joe Rogan. I'm like, "Hold that. We'll do this on the air. We'll do it on the air." Yeah. But it's. Yeah, when
life happens.
Sure, and
that's all.
When you share things with people that you'll never go through again.
Yeah.
Case in point, when Sumter was here and we talked about when Jay was sick. I wish I never went through that, but if I'm going to go through that, I'm glad I went through it with him.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
So there are some things that we went through together that were amazing and fun, and then we had some challenges too. And the most important thing is, we did it together, and we weren't alone. Yeah. We had friends with us, and we came out the other end.
Yes.
And there's an absolute victory in that.
Yes, there is. You're right.
There's a victory in that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, how many people do we know
agree.
that we grew up with that were friends? We had friends, we were, again, our part of our group, but we had other groups and other friends in our school that these two guys or these three or these four, they were inseparable, and now they never see each other.
Yeah,
never even correspond. Mm-hmm. And maybe it could be for a lot of different reasons. But I know one thing's for sure. Everything that we did growing up, and we would talk about it, that for better or for worse, we cared. We cared about each other.
Yes.
We genuinely didn't want to sabotage any of us.
Or for anybody to get hurt.
That too. There's
whether it's us or anybody else.
Right. Well, I preach about it.
We'll call it ornery.
Absolutely. I preach about it now that as a coach and as a trainer that there, and not just that, but in life, there are people that we as human beings, we see every day. Sometimes you wake up next to them. Sometimes you work with them. Sometimes you ride the bus with them. Sometimes we buy our coffee from them in the morning. Then we see these people, and every day they give us a hug or a kiss or a smile, and they tell us, "Man, I really want you to do well," and privately they don't.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
That's very true. But one thing that I can say about us as a group is that I never felt that.
No, me either.
It was always a genuine, I want you to succeed. I want you to do well. And in our group, we all had our own little tributaries of people that we also hung out with. Of course.
But we still
we would
stay, right. I would say pretty close knit.
Really, we did. Especially considering our group, we had a lot of moving parts. Literally moving parts.
People from different people we were all different.
Yeah, we had we.
I would say maybe not different.
Out of our whole group, I was the only one that was the real athlete. You know what I mean? Like I was the athlete out of the group. You were definitely the engineer, or you were the guy that wanted to fidget with stuff. You wanted to fidget with stuff. You wanted to take stuff apart, build it. You were that guy. Jamie was the musician. Joe was he skate. He would skate, but he was also the comedy relief, which is where he still is now.
He skate, therefore he is.
That's true. That's never changed about him.
Does he still skate?
Of course.
Good for him.
Yeah, he talked about him. We were all a little off the wall, a little different. But it is what made it work.
Yes.
And it's
called a good team.
Yeah. And again, we were a bunch of goofballs, but people still to this day remember the NOIZ BOYZ dances.
Yes.
We had fun. Yeah. We had packed crowds. People would come back and see us.
And it was good. And it was good, clean. The mischief that we wanted to do, we didn't do that. Okay. I almost think that we started doing this because we all like music. Not to disagree with what you said, but we started this because we all like music.
But I think you were the one that suggested it, but you're right.
Well, we were like, dude, my mom's not going to let me stay out too late. Well, what if we had to stay out late to do these dances? I don't know if you remember. Not all of us had the damn driver's license. So we had to be home at a certain time.
But if we
had to do this, then...
And we got paid.
We could pull fast ones on our parents.
That's a good point.
And we did pull fast ones on our parents that we could stay out past this dance isn't over till the next morning.
Till midnight. Dance is over. We're done at 10.
I'm going to stay at Dad's.
Yeah.
Dad, I'm going to stay with Mom. And then we wouldn't be anywhere, So that was kind of...
Meanwhile, we're sneaking into Fantine's house in the middle of the night.
So there was mischievous, but yet... clean.
Yeah,
fun.
We weren't.
It was somewhere
we weren't a threat.
Kids to do. Mr. Schaefer loved having us do the dances.
Yeah. Well, we were on time. You know, for his perspective, we were on time. We delivered. There was not one single fight in any of the dances.
Yeah, there was not.
There wasn't one fight ever.
That's true.
So and by the way, not just with the NOIZ BOYZ, but when I was going back and doing some solo stuff, sounds like a band. Going back and doing I was doing some DJ work in Wellington and stuff in the late 90s, basically by myself, maybe with one person helped me. Even then, not one fight. So that's something that in that environment, in Wellington, Ohio, to not have a fight at a dance.
That's a good point.
We never had one. Now I mean, of course, there were, and this is again not to condone certain behavior, but we would have people that would show up at our dances that maybe had a drink or two.
Oh, stuff.
Or they had or whatever. And when you factor that in with high school kids and Wellington, and we never had a fight.
Back then, this is 89, 90, 91, 92.
Yep.
The good old boy mentality was still there then.
Oh, it was at the peak of its height of its powers.
How many times, you get into trouble and the cop pulls you over and he gives you a strict tongue lashing and tells you, do this again, I'm gonna tell your parents or your grandparents, and then they send you on your way.
It's true.
Nowadays, that's another reason I feel bad for kids. They just can't live like we lived.
No,
but it might be safe that way. I don't know.
Well, yeah.
I didn't mean to change the subject.
No, but no, you're right. There's, I talked about it, when Joe was here, that we're out there in the country, we're riding bikes, no helmets on, we're jumping, we're just everything that you could think of. That a bunch of, like you said,
just
at the end
boys.
of the good old country boys, we out ride bikes. We're just gonna hop over this fence and go play on the train tracks.
Yes.
Or we're gonna go jump down to this ditch and see where
we're
this ditch
gonna make
goes.
a ramp out of scrap wood that's dangerous, that I wouldn't fling a Matchbox car over, and he's gonna ride his bike.
And his bike's gonna go over.
Right. And it's gonna be great.
Right, and it's gonna be spectacular.
No
helmets. No crash pad.
No nothing. No jock. Nothing to save your dudes.
No, nothing.
You're gonna hit the gooseneck.
No, yeah, you're in.
Yeah.
And by the way, we couldn't wait to who's gonna jump next.
No.
So that tells
wait till the pain goes away,
yeah.
so I can see this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have the guinea pig go first, and then we're gonna sit back and There's a lot of that bullshit growing up out here. There's without sounding like...
Well, here, let me give you a for example.
Sure.
I have a grandson now. He's 4. Okay.
Awesome.
My daughter's oldest son, only son, and is Lydia's son. His name's Liam. He's great. I am absolutely positive that God put me on earth to be this child's granddad.
That's awesome.
Okay. But Lydia, a great mother, wanting to make sure she's that he doesn't get a scratch on him or injured, and I think she's realized that he's a little boy,
Sure.
Because this kid's wild, man. He wants to do anything that I'm doing, and what Grandpa's doing is what we got to be doing. And not that I'm going to be teaching him all this mischievous stuff,
sure.
but he's going to do it anyways. So I have to teach him so that he doesn't get injured for it, like 4-wheelers.
Yeah.
If you keep your kid off of a 4-wheeler because you're afraid they're going to get hurt,
he's going to do it.
One day they're going to be 16, 17, 8, maybe in their mid-20s. Yeah, I can ride. They're going to be at a cookout. Mm-hmm. They're going to get on it. So that's my hobby recently.
Well, you're not the first, for lack of a better term, adult that I've heard say that about. But what I'm hearing a lot of parents and grandparents that they're teaching kids how to drive a stick. The kids don't know how to do that now. Yeah. How to change a tire, how to change the oil. They don't know how to do any of that. None of that. There's really no.
YouTube's helpful with that.
It's amazing with that. Yeah.
If I know how to teach it, I'm going to teach it. Right.
So there's a lot to be said. Well, you're preparing him. That's what you're doing. You're right. He's going to do it anyway.
They're going to have their own choices that they're going to make. I need to prepare him for the best possible success in whatever choices he makes, even if they're not good, because we all made bad choices.
Of course, everybody does.
So, I don't know. Maybe that's not the right way to say it, but I don't want him getting hurt.
Right.
You know
what? I don't give a damn. I'm going to applaud you for that.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, because no matter what, he's going to do it. You said it.
He's going to get hurt.
Right.
I don't want to get hurt bad,
Sure.
It's like there's an art to wiping out a bicycle.
There's a Well, you said he's a wild kid,
He is.
and when there are
He's
certain
he's just active. I shouldn't say wild. He's
well, and
very
that's right.
active.
There are certain traits and certain, again, not being a father, I can only talk about this so much, but there are certain traits, certain attributes that kids have that you're not going to turn the volume down on that. You know,
Absolutely.
that kid,
You're right.
he's minus medication, which that's a whole other subject. Some parents go too far with that. That kid, getting him to tone that energy down is not going to happen. What you get to do is channel it in the right direction.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, but to a lesser degree. When I get around a kid that has all the athletic ability in the world, but he's been severely damaged.
Mm-hmm.
He went through some traumatic stuff as a kid. Is getting him to shift past that.
Dude, that's highly admirable. If you can master that, or it sounds like
Master.
everybody's
I don't know if I would
different.
use that word.
I suppose mastering is hard to say, but for anybody,
I will say I've learned a lot more on how to.
That's the best you can do.
How to navigate
that. Is so awesome.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
But you know what? Yeah, I'm proud of that.
Yeah, you should be.
Thank you.
That's we if we could get more of that, man.
Well, there's. I was just talking about it when I was training this morning. I'm being around a lot now that I'm into that realm of an OG coach or being around older coaches. I was telling the kid I was training this morning that when I get around other coaches and we start talking about the kids that had all the gifts, but for whatever reason didn't make it work, inevitably it usually boils down to, not usually, it almost always boils down to what kind of chaos was going on at home.
Could be, yeah. Well,
so there's, you can, I mean, this is your daughter's, this is your grandson, so the idea that you understand that he's not going through chaos at home, but if you're going to take somebody and teach them and train them and mold them, and while you're around them, you're having a great experience, and then they go home to chaos, it's going to be very difficult. And when you factor that in with a kid that has the type of energy like your grandson has, it's a recipe for bad times.
Oh boy.
But again, if you're able to control that, and again, give you credit because that energy is not going to go away. So getting him to channel that and understand, guess what? Yeah, you know what? If you're going to get into wingsuit flying, there's a chance that you're going to have one last flight.
We don't want that.
No. No, but if the kid has that gene, has that spark in them, you're not going to turn that off.
Yeah, and to try is doing them a disservice to try to turn that off.
Yeah,
channeling it is.
Well, he's 4. You said
he's 4,
so he's getting to the point where he's going to start really developing into his personality and stuff. So he's probably
he is. His personality is and. Someday I want you to meet him. He's great.
Of course, man.
But he doesn't want to turn it off even at night. Going to bed. He doesn't want to go to bed because
kicking and screaming and fighting, and then finally just collapse.
Basically,
Sure.
Lydia reads him a book or Missy reads him a book, and he's out like a light. But up until that point, there's just so much shit to do, Grandpa.
It's pedal to the
There's
metal.
stuff to do. I don't want to go in there and go to bed. There's all kinds of crap and stuff to do. And he just, he's just excited about life. And
he's
I love
right.
it. Yeah, and he's right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's, again, today's technology, right over here, this wall right over here, that's a 12-foot movie screen.
Oh, okay.
That's what that is over there.
Nice.
So when I have fight companions and stuff, I'm able to open that up. But, you talk about technology, the idea that I have that and I have a projector and I have a sound bar and stuff like that, if people saw that, they'd be, oh, geez, you spent $1 million on that. No, not at all. But what I'm getting at is, again, today's technology for not a real significant investment, all of a sudden I can sit here and I can watch the fights as if I'm in the damn cage.
Yeah.
So there's... talking about just ease of technology and stuff. So when I hear a 4-year-old say, "Hey, there's a lot of stuff to do,"
there's stuff to
he's
do.
right.
He's right.
When we were 4, we had the G.I. Joes, we had the Star Wars, we had the beginnings of video games with Atari and stuff like that. But when we were 4, the stuff that we had to do usually had something to do with getting dirty outside.
And getting dirty and getting hurt.
Yeah.
Getting strawberries and breaking scabs off. And
I remember, we grow beans and we have to, cut the tips off the beans, snap beans and stuff. That was our example of, oh, you're bored?
Yeah.
Okay, I got something for you.
Yeah.
And the idea that, again,
even if he's not retaining any of it yet, which I'm sure he is. I know he is.
Yeah. More than you may think.
Sometimes I'll get into some really, like we've been working on an air compressor, and I'll get into some really like in-depth stuff on how stuff works, and he's like, "Oh yeah, okay." And I know.
Well, it sounds like you. It's
just me hearing myself talk.
Exactly.
What it is.
That's a young KDR right there.
But you know what? So what? I'm gonna say it anyways. And when if it's a couple of years from now and I do it again, I do it again. So.
Well, why not?
Yeah, why not?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's fun.
It's the with the risk of sounding, it's the circle of life. It's it's I'm willing to bet he's probably going to grow up and he's just like Grandpa.
Well, I hope the best for him, of course. Do I want to do I hope that he has to work? Okay, it's a fine line for me. I've worked at the same company for 28 years, 29 years now, and yes, I do want him to work hard for what he has or what he's gonna have. But at the same time, I want to spoil him, even though I'm going to have more grandchildren. So I can't get stuck spoiling him because then I'll be spoiling all the rest of them. So I got to back off on that.
Yeah, how do you keep that in check?
I'm not sure. Because right now I'm getting him everything he wants, all the time, anything he wants. I haven't figured it out yet. When there's another grandchild come along, that's when I'm really going to have to put it in second gear on. Backing down the spoilage, if you will.
Well, not only is it exhausting, but it's expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive.
So there's a little bit of that too.
Well, in my case, it's been fun though. I had girls. Yeah, they weren't into what I was in.
That's true.
Oh, what do you? Oh yeah, you want a dirt bike? Yeah, we'll get you dirt. Oh, you want a Maserati? Yeah, we'll do that. Because those are the things I want.
Sure. No, I get
so
that.
I got to back off on that, so he's not totally spoiled, but. You want life better for your children than it is for you.
Well, that's
human
nature. Sure.
I do want him to work for what he has so that he has a sense of pride of what he's going to accomplish. And for my daughter, Lydia, and Hannah, too,
Well, it sounds like that's the challenge that every parent has.
It is.
You want and again, I can be on the fringe. I can only talk about it so much, but it's a common theme that I hear from good parents.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I hear from good parents. I want my kids to not have to want for things that I did. I want my kids to have things easier. But at the same time, finding that balance of going out, busting your butt, and earning what you have. There's a challenge in that. And again, when I worked in Beverly Hills, I would have kids come in the store that clearly they are the offspring of somebody that's been massively successful.
Got it.
And they would walk in and no real concept of value. The word is value. Money, when it's the ones and zeros and you don't have to earn it, the place of value on that is very difficult. When you can come in and buy a $10,000 watch because you like it, not because that's the one you've been waiting for and that's the one you picked out and that's the one that's going to add to your collection, just because you happen to be out today and buy it.
Yeah.
Whew. Now, again, if you've earned that level and you've brought yourself up to having those types of resources, God bless you. You've earned that. But if it's handed to you, how in the world can you ever have a concept of value? How can you? There was a time when I worked on that street, when I went outside and I saw a McLaren F1 parked on the street. Because, I mean, Rodeo Drive, it's one of the most famous streets in the world, and you'd see some of the most amazing cars in the world parked there. But every now and then I would see one that I'd have to go out and check out. Because you see, brand new Ferraris and Lamborghinis, they're very common. You see a McLaren, I want to go out and look at it. So I'll go out, a lot of times when I would see the classic cars, I'd go out and look at those too. But there was a McLaren that parked right in front of us, and I went out and looked at it. And I remember, because that car, if you see the F1, the driver's seat is in the front. It's the middle of the car. It's a cockpit right in the middle, and there's two seats behind.
Two
right.
kicker seats.
And I walked by and I looked in that, and I kid you not, this is $1 million car.
Absolutely. I was watching the Mecum auction today. I saw a McLaren go for $1 million too.
Yeah, it's $1 million car. And on the driver's seat, I shit you not, I saw Taco Bell wrapper and a portable ashtray that's like kind of
so they're
down
smoking in it. Ugh.
with cigarette butts, smudged out in it, inside the car, windows up.
Man.
And the only thing that it almost made me sick to it made me feel like, as an artist, if you saw the Mona Lisa and somebody drew a mustache on it.
Yeah.
That's how it felt for me. Because when I'm looking, forget the price tag. That's a piece of art.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And somebody clearly, I will bet anything. And if you're out there and you hear this, give me a call. I'll have you come in and we'll talk about it. Because if you can prove
I
to
want
me,
to be here too.
right? Because if you can prove to me that you earned every penny to buy that,
boy,
then I will be proven wrong.
Yeah.
I don't. How's that possible? So I mean, I just use that as an example because there are, and this gets back into maybe we don't have as many problems here as we think we do.
You're right. You're right.
Maybe we don't. Maybe just are there problems? Yes, but something tells me the person that is going through the drive-through at Taco Bell in the $1 million McLaren, probably not struggling.
Well, money doesn't buy you everything.
Nope. You know what it does buy? Security.
It can, but maybe that person is not that happy.
That's true.
That's why they're smoking. They're throwing it in their dad's car. I don't know.
Well, I've made a mistake. I've been around people that have a lot of money that aren't enjoying themselves.
Wow.
But then I've been around people that don't have a pot to piss in, but they are the most happy, fun, friendly people you can imagine.
Yeah.
But then I've been around people, quite frankly, that have a ridiculous amount of money, and man, are they fun. Man, are they cool. The case in point.
All types of people.
Well, there's a guy named Mark Goldstein who was the founder of Net Zero. And at one point in time, this guy was probably worth $500 million. And he would come into that store in Beverly Hills. This is a guy, I use him as an example because he was a self-made man. Made him into what he has.
Okay.
If you met him, you would never guess he was worth what he was worth. He would even talk about it. He's like, if I buy a shirt and shoes and I wear them, they're going to fall apart. So why in the world would I buy expensive ones? He would talk about how you go to Walmart and buy that stuff. But he liked really nice timepieces. And the timepieces that he would buy weren't ones that had gold and diamonds and stuff like that on it. He had, and I say this, if you hear this, Mark, he had excellent taste. And he would get into, the one piece I sold him was a Vacheron Constantine. It was a chronograph watch. It was about 15 grand for this.
Okay.
But if you saw it in an average jewelry store next to a timepiece that was $1,000, probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two. But and that was the way that I would sell it to him like that. Because if you talk about timepieces, I'll geek out on this for a second. We talk about Rolex, Tag, Omega, and Breitling. Those are the big four. Those are the names the brands that everybody knows. So if you wear one of those brands,
Paytech's coming on. They've been.
They are, but those are the big four.
Yeah.
And as a guy who's sold a lot of high-end timepieces, when somebody come in and they're asking for a Tag, Omega, Breitling, and Rolex, those are the big four. Everybody knows those brands. So what I would do, if somebody would come in and ask for one of those brands, if I didn't sell them, I would sell against them. And this is how I would sell against them. Okay? This is how I actually sold to him. But he was easy for me to sell because he had good taste. And he also understood that if I'm wearing between my shirt, my shoes, my pants, and my all my clothes, $100, but I have 15 grand on my wrist here. If it says Tag, Omega, Breitling, or Rolex, somebody who's up to no good might decide they want to take that from me. But if I'm wearing a brand like Vacheron Constantine, Piaget, Jaeger-LeCoultre, Ulysse Nardin.
Unheard of.
Some of
these
names,
for Wish.
These are names that people don't know of.
Mhm.
But guess what? People that know timepieces know those. So what I would say is, if somebody's coming in, if they want to buy a Rolex, you're talking 10 grand all day long.
Absolutely.
So what I would say is, okay, why? Why Rolex? And if they say, well, I want something that everybody's going to see and recognize, okay, then it's one of the big four. If you want one that everywhere you go, people are going to see it at a glance and know. But if you get something like...
Talk them into a Cellini.
Right, but if you get into something like one of those brands that I mentioned, you know what you're going to have? You're going to have a timepiece that you can go anywhere on this planet at any function, including the White House, by the way, and people will say, that's a nice piece.
Wow, yeah.
So you can have a piece that everybody in the world knows is nice, or you can have a piece that people that know timepieces will say, there you go.
Yeah.
And he was the guy that he was into that. But make no mistake, if and I don't want to, I have a Rolex, being able to, I don't want to shit on some of those brands because that's the reason why I have that one, because I was in the business and I wanted people to know that not only I had a nice piece, but I understand timepieces for that reason. If I'm standing on the other side of the counter and I'm wearing a nice piece, there's that, even if I hardly have any money in my bank account, there's still that image of, okay, this guy's a baller, so listen to him.
Now, see, that's awesome because I have one too.
Yeah.
I got it for working I got it from the company I worked for 20 years of service.
I got mine, being in the business, I got mine refurbished.
Okay.
So
good.
I got a hell of a deal on it.
And it was there, it was worth it.
Right.
Do it.
And it's all...
Can't pass that up.
Right. They're all real parts and everything. But I don't get the extended warranty and all that stuff, and I don't get to have it registered and everything. But you know what? It's a nice piece.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. And that's what... But
look what... You're rocking the Casio.
Yeah, of course.
I got a Tissot on. I didn't wear the Rolex today, so
I have a Tissot right over there.
I have two or three
Look,
I go from $12 watches to that thing.
Right.
I don't care.
Well, in the end, this is the way that I would describe timepieces. And actually, the guy that Robbie, going back to the kid I'm training, who's I was wrong. He's not a structural engineer. He's a mechanical engineer. Talking to him, he and I have an appreciation for timepieces, but it goes the opposite way. Meaning a really super high-end timepiece, like some of those really delicate movements and things, minute repeaters, stuff like that. I sold a minute repeater to Sylvester Stallone. The retail, I won't say what he paid for it, but I'll tell you the retail on it was $225,000. But when you're selling something like that, it's like selling a Rembrandt. You're selling something that is so rare.
Well, they probably only make 12 of them every 10 years. Oh, really?
When you're talking about, a minute repeater, what that is, and you guys go and look it up, it's a timepiece that has figures on the side, and when you slide a lever, it will chime off the day, the time, the date. And this is all mechanical.
Okay.
There's not a battery in there.
Got it.
So, and that's all done by hand. I'm talking about a couple people on the planet that can even do that type of movement.
It takes a long time
to
make
they make two of those maybe in a year.
Okay.
So when you're selling a piece like that, that is every bit as much art as it is engineering.
Yeah.
For me, being the artist, the art draws me in. I love the look of timepieces. Because in the end, if you're looking at two timepieces and they're each 10 grand, quality's about the same. But what is it about this look and style that you like? So Robbie looks at it differently. He looks at it from the engineering standpoint, the idea that you can slide this and it can do that and it can move.
Yeah.
He even suggested to me that he wants to look into seeing how one of those is built and recreating it on a 3D printer, but
that'd be cool.
4 or 5 times the size.
Yeah.
So again, I've said this 3 times, though, bringing things full circle, the idea that having technology that we can sit here and talk about in a few short minutes or a few short hours, he can program, this thing together and have it print out right over here. And next thing you know, we're sitting here, we're playing with a minute repeater that somebody just paid a lot of money for.
Yeah.
So it's cool and amazing though. But that's what I love about timepieces. But make no mistake, if I sold Amiga, which I've sold those before, somebody comes in, they want to buy one, I'll sell it all day long for sure. But when I, as a bit of a connoisseur, maybe a snob, I just love getting around some of those people that really know timepieces.
Okay.
So there'll be times that somebody will come in and they'll be looking for a Rolex, for example, something like a $10,000, $15,000 Daytona, something along those lines. And they'll end up leaving buying a
Hamilton or
no, they'll buy like a Leeds,
which is great.
Yeah, but they're great value.
Yeah,
by the way.
great.
Exceptional.
I want to say
value.
the best, maybe not the best value, but
one of
close of
for
close
sure,
to,
and they're
yeah.
highly aviation oriented.
Yeah.
So they're great timepieces. Again, for Hamilton, you're talking roughly about $1,000-ish around there. You can get a really nice piece.
Yeah.
But they'd come in and they'd be asking about a Daytona or something, and they would leave with like a Ulysse Nardin Classico, which looks just what it sounds like, a classic timepiece. Instead of spending $15,000, they'd spend $5,000, $6,000.
Got it.
But what would hook them, I guess, is spending what is their trigger. If their trigger is they want a timepiece that, to use my words, you can go anywhere on the planet and you're never going to be outclassed. You'll get up to, I've sold $7,000 watches to people before that have, they've been at functions that people have come up to them wearing $100,000 timepieces and being like, that's nice.
Yeah.
And so some people, that's what matters to them. Some people, it's just the flash of, hey, I have a Rolex.
By the way, I'm impressed with your able to pronounce them. I've read about them, and I can't pronounce some of those brands.
When I worked in Beverly Hills, they had representatives come in, and they had to train. And I'm saying we had 3 people on the sales staff, so I was the new guy. They came in just for me.
Got it.
And spent days on how to pronounce and how to pitch and how to sell.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's selling a Citizen timepiece. There's a reason why you can walk into K's and the kid behind the counter doesn't know anything about timepieces. They can literally read it off the box and find out what you need to know, and you can buy it.
Absolutely.
And spend a couple $100, get a nice timepiece. But when you're going to spend $5, $10, $15, $200,000 on a timepiece, just like if you were to buy a Rembrandt or buy a classic car, you better believe
that's going up.
Well, recently the drive shaft to James Dean's car just sold at auction. The one that he died in.
The one he died in? Oh, man.
How
much?
Just the drive shaft, which is essentially the transmission. There's really not much to it.
I've been under the understanding they don't know what happened to that car.
The whole car, they don't know the story. That's true.
It's like somebody's got it. Nobody knows where it is, or it got junked.
There are a lot. That seems to be more than likely that's what happened, is it got junked.
Wow.
And I don't know the whole story about how this came to auction, but this is James Dean's drive shaft. It's a hunk of metal. It just sold for $330,000.
Yeah, if that car ever comes up, even in the state that it's ending state.
Oh, it doesn't matter. That'll be a $50 million car.
Man, oh man.
I mean, the idea that we're seeing paintings sold for $100 million now. The idea that if the James Dean car ever pops up, that's going to be $20 million car.
You think it'll do better than the Bullet car? Any of his. Who's the actor? I can't remember his name.
McQueen.
Steve McQueen. McQueen. Some of his Ferraris. They do like what?
Well,
just
Newman.
Under 10.
Same thing with Paul Newman has a bunch of race cars and stuff too, because he was into racing cars. So you'll find some of those vintage cars, but I think it'll be the most expensive because
everybody's been after it. There's only one.
It's the white whale.
There might be 2.
Maybe
there's only one.
That's a case in point. Somebody's sitting right here. Man, I've heard that story. That car disappeared. Yeah, that's the story. That thing. It's either sitting in the sheik's basement somewhere.
And the money's out there for it. The money's out there for it.
Of course.
These car collectors, poof,
all day. Well, you got to remember, a lot of these high-end car collectors, that's not their only business.
No, that's not their only thing.
They have several things that are successful, and that's just something they do on the side.
Yep.
You know, they own race horses, or they own a racing team, or they have a minor league baseball team.
Dealerships in Florida or wherever, or construction companies in Southern California.
There's a guy named Larry Miller who was a very successful businessman in Utah, and he wrote a book about that where it was very interesting, where he talked about he would have 40 businesses at one time, and 25 of them might be making money. The rest of them might not. So it's being what you don't see is with really successful entrepreneurs is they put all their eggs in one basket. This is my business. This is what I do. A great example would be McDonald's. They're not in the hamburger business. They're in the real estate business.
Okay.
How many McDonald's have you ever seen close in your life? Not many.
Oh, yeah. No, not many.
Not many.
Not many at all.
But not many. But what happens is when McDonald's comes into a neighborhood, they're systematic. They don't just let you just put one in there. Even if you have the money to buy a franchise, they're very systematic about it.
Yes.
Because if you're going to say you put in a store and that lot's worth $300,000, they know within 5-10 years of having that store there, having that business there, usually, like we saw in Wellington, things are going to sprout up around it.
Yes.
It's smaller in Wellington, but you'll see in a lot of bigger communities. Mm-hmm. So where they make their money is the value of their real estate.
You know, Subway don't give a shit.
No.
Down there in Polaris, I think there's 3 within eyeshot.
Yeah. Because they do it different.
I know there's 2. There's like one here and one there.
You'll see it with Starbucks.
Starbucks too, yeah. But I think that's their plan.
What you won't see with McDonald's is 2 of them within a certain amount of distance. But you'll see McDonald's across the street from a Burger King, which is right next to the Wendy's, which is right across from the Arby's. There's a reason for that. So there's and again with today's accessibility, the idea that that we have everything that's just so convenient. To go here to there, from here on your trip home, you probably pass 3 McDonald's.
Probably.
Maybe. Yeah. But they're not within a quarter mile of each other.
No.
But you make no mistake, they're well aware of where that next one is and where this one is.
Absolutely.
But some of those franchises don't care.
No, they don't.
No, as long as you're going to pay the money and you get the franchise, you can put it wherever you want.
It's like there's enough people to go around. There's enough Subway for everybody. We can put 2 in.
If you own on one side of the street and I had one on the other side of the street and we're still making money,
then I'll service these people. You service them people.
Yeah, I got north, you got south. That's cool. We'll make it work. But the point is, there's not every business is what it seems, and when you have McDonald's having the success they have, and again the accessibility and just how easy things are, it's easy to get off the rails though.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, it's again I could sit here and chat all day.
We can go all night
for sure, but. We're not going to go all night, though. It's about time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's again the blessing that I have is to have the outlet where I can have people come on, and next thing you know, we're right back where we were, and we can go off these deep tangents all day long and sit there. It's fun for me.
Good.
It's therapeutic for me. So having this is, like you said, man, somebody should be filming this as soon as you showed up. Good news, we're filming it right away.
I almost was going to have my phone out just in case. I can send it to you. You can add it too. But
I don't even know if we have any security cameras around here. But we reunited on the air, man.
Absolutely.
This is, again, it's fun for me. It's therapeutic. And, I always get an opportunity to learn something too. So I'm looking forward to watching from afar and hopefully up close to see how things grow with you and your grandson.
Oh, yes.
Man. That's awesome. That's exciting.
Good. Yeah, it is.
Do you have, while you're here, I don't know if you have anything that you want to plug, anything that you're working on?
No.
Some people don't, but some people do. Obviously, a lot of people I haven't come in here do. So
I really don't. I don't own a business, although I'm thinking about retirement, which is not too far away, but still maybe 20 years away. And I don't know. I might be a on the road welder, or maybe I'll get a couple of 0 turns and a trailer and just mow grass. I don't know. Hey, so I'm not plugging it. I'm just. Well, I have things in mind so that I'm not working for the man anymore.
What's refreshing is hearing that you're open to that.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people who are just, nope, I'm going to punch a check, and then and that's it. But the idea that I might do this, and coming from me, I'm a world heavyweight champion. I might do this, and I might go do that. When I hear that, that's great. If there's, again, if you limit yourself to opportunities to...
I have limited myself, to tell you the truth, and that's why I'm trying to get away from it. I'm trying to get away from limiting myself. Even though I've been good, I've made a good living, and it's been all right. It's been real. It's been funny. It's been real fun. You know what I mean?
Sure,
I'm
sure,
okay.
Sure.
But it's like, man, you know, my grandfather was in his 40s when he started that campground on Peck Wildworth Road.
Mm-hmm.
So am I just like going to work the rest of my life until I retire and then that's it?
I don't know.
Because I think I still got stuff like that in me. So
then you know what?
I don't know.
Do it.
Well,
and
maybe
not
I'll
only
start
am I
doing
going
it
to say
tomorrow.
do it. Yeah, you're on vacation.
Well, I'm on vacation
Guess
right
what?
now.
I'm going to go coach Scott on you. Do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
I'll have to do it.
There's again an overused
I
saying
will
is,
do it.
if not now,
But I don't
when?
know what it's going to be. I don't
Who
know
cares?
what it is yet.
Good. Figure it out. The way to figure it out is to just start doing something. Seriously.
Yeah.
People will
Right.
say to me, "Geez, Scott, how do you do this? Or how do you start a podcast?" Or you just start.
Just start.
That's it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Whether you're using a brick, a bulb, and
Folks,
a car
we're
battery.
going to put an on-air light above the door
We're
up
gonna have
here
to do that,
as soon as the
for
camera
sure.
stops.
We
We're
might
going
have to, have to install that for sure.
I think I got plexiglass in my truck.
Probably do. But, if you can have that, do it. Figure it out. Figure it out. You, of all people, again, the first real engineer that I ever worked with.
Oh, thanks.
Well, it's
Thank
true.
you so much.
It's true. And it made an impact on me. So the idea that you can't figure it out, I call bullshit on that.
Damn, man. Thank you.
My challenge for you is let's get to work.
All right.
I got some stuff
We'll
to do.
do that.
And next time you do, when you have, if you have something to plug, maybe you won't. I don't know. Maybe you'll find being open for that is the important thing. But if you do start a business or a campground or whatever the hell it is you decide to do,
Yeah.
come in here and we'll plug it right up here.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Hell, I'd want you to just come in just to hang out.
Absolutely.
But if you're going to come in and we're going to plug some stuff,
We can do
why
this
not?
more often.
Oh.
For sure.
I tell you what.
I mean, I don't want it to be your only guest.
No.
You're going to have more people.
Dude, in the
sure.
short time that I've been doing this, let's just say you're going to be on the list.
Good.
You're not
good.
the first one that said that to me on or off the air.
Okay.
Yeah, man, I want to come back. Good.
Yes.
But my plan, I guess, if you will, for this is just like any show. There people that mean a lot to me and or quite frankly are fun on the show. I want them to be semi-regulars, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. It's and again because there's a lot more stories that we can tell that we haven't told.
Yep.
A
Absolutely.
lot more,
We got a
and
lot.
some that we never will. Of course.
And folks, if you're on the fence about sitting in on this, don't be. It's comfortable.
You have a good time.
He's a good interviewer.
Is this your first one of these you ever done? You ever done anything like this before?
No.
No? So that's like I always say, man, never forget your first time.
Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully I was gentle. Hopefully everything was fine.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thanks for lube.
Well, go easy on the first timers. Make sure.
Absolutely.
So they will come back.
Yeah. Gotta have repeat customers.
Man, I can't thank you enough for coming on in.
I can't thank you enough for having me.
Yeah,
I've
man,
enjoyed the shit
it's
out
been
of it.
great. It's been awesome, and for those of you out there, again, thank you guys so much for the support, for the feedback. Thank you for the great guests coming on and more that are popping up that want to keep coming on. The support. If you like what you're seeing and like what you're hearing, definitely hit the like, hit the subscribe, share it with friends, share it with family, share it with enemies, share it with everybody. As a matter of fact, share it with every enemy you have, and tell them I said so. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you guys are awesome. You're awesome. Thanks, brother. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys soon, man. I love you.